Hey guys, it's John Pike. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here on the Team Top Gold call for Thursday, the 4th of September. Guys, welcome. Welcome Rosemary up there in Switzerland. Welcome Pearlie in Adelaide, Greg both up in Queensland, Greg Martin and also Greg Watford. No need to reply. We're going to keep the lines muted so that we keep the reception happening and keeping it strong. We had an absolutely fantastic call last week, and if you haven't heard it, take a bit of time to do it, because we actually had a 15 or 20 minute call that lasted for 56 minutes. We actually had Albie on, and we really just threw a lot of mindset stuff back and forth. We were talking about the new funnel, and I know that everybody's excited about that, and everybody's actually results with that. What I want to do is cover what I spoke about last week, and really we're just going to dive into mindset, because the more and more that I hear and the more that I speak to people that are successful in this business, the more it really is mindset being greater than 95% of it. See, people get it the other way around. People think actually that they have to have a balance of how-to information. A lot of people neglect their mindset. In fact, most people will go for 95% how-to because they're always buying the latest toy, always going for the latest gadget. And if you've listened to Lawrence for any period of time, he says, guys, forget about having shiny object system syndrome. We are not magpies here picking up the latest and greatest toy. Really, with 5% how-to information, just applying, focusing and narrowing down to the basics and just adding a whole bunch of mindset with it, that's what's going to allow you to succeed. In fact, really, most people out there are floundering because they are overwhelmed with how-to information. But we have to get our mind and keep our mind in the game. So inspired and also inspiring to hear. And one of the things that Les Brown said, and this is the thing, we look in life and we've got our radar screen in front of us, and you never know who's going to come in with and onto our radar screen. We've got very, very often a limited vision of our future, and we're held back very, very much by a limited level of belief. What Les Brown said in a audio that I was hearing is that we need to take our goals and raise the bar. We need to lift it up. You know, if we're aiming to get a certain level in the Carrot Bar's presentation, all to do with the incentive plan, let's go for the top level. Because in life, guys, you know, we just know, and we've heard it before, we never exceed our reach. So if there's a mark on the wall as high as you could jump and touch with your fingers, aim for the ceiling. You know, you're never going to outreach, or you're never going to hit something that's further than what you're reaching for. And one of the things I heard him talk about, and it's one of the things that's a quote actually in the vision book that I've shared with all of you guys, and I would encourage you to keep on looking into that and just diving into the vision book that I sent you with all the pictures of the Bellagio Hotel. There's a quote in there that Les Brown quoted, and the issue is that most people fail in life because they aim too low and they hit it. It's not because they aim too high and miss it. And for 14 years, actually, Les Brown said that he didn't do what he was hearing, because he'd go and he would listen and he would be inspired by Zig Ziglar. But he allowed his past to control his present situation and dictate his future. He'd hear it in his heart. He'd feel it in his heart. And he said, as he was there listening and hearing it in the crowd, he said, yeah, I can do this. But then when he'd go back home, his mind would take over and he'd say, well, how can you do this? You know, you haven't been to university. And he would shut up if he was ever around. He would close his mouth and not open it if he was ever around people with a university background, because he thought his down-to-earth background and education level would make him a fool. But, you know, it's people like this, it's people like Art Williams that stand up in that very famous Just Do It presentation, where Art Williams said, just do it. And he didn't care with his down-to-earth Georgia accent what these other televangelists or people with university education said. He had them all applauding. And he said that, you know, today's university are turning people out who think that they've got it all made once they're stamped with a university education. It doesn't matter where we've come from. What it matters is where that we're going to. And It's not who we think that we are very much. It's actually who that we think that we are not. And I've heard Ray Higdon chime in and say, you know, if we really realized what that saying meant, so we very often will discount ourselves. Oh, I'm not like a Lawrence. I'm not like an Albie. I'm not like an Eric Worre. You know, really what separates us and people like that, do what Les Brown says. Take your goals and raise the bar, guys. You know, someone's opinion of you, as he says, doesn't need to become your reality. You're going to have naysayers. And when our desires are different from our beliefs, what's going to actually happen is that our beliefs will hold us back. Jim Rohn actually said that if you've got a desire on the one hand, your expectations will overrule your desire. Because if you lack that sense of belief in your heart, you might have a goal or a dream, but it needs to be in that sweet spot. It's actually got to be in an area, in a zone where it's big enough to excite you, but not small enough such that, you know, or not so big that you're going to expect something totally different. You know, I heard a guy named Jeremy Brown, who authored a book called No Limit Living 5 to 8 years ago, say that if we're going to doubt anything, we should doubt our limitations, not our strengths. You know, doubt your limitations. I doubt that that's my limitation there. I'm going to discard that. I've got real doubts in this self-limiting belief I've got here. You know, when did I actually come to question that I couldn't be a six-figure income earner? You know, Eric Worre, and I've said it on these calls, there's a real gem that he's mentioned. He said that, you know, the thing that actually separates you from all of us, from six figures, is our level of belief. The thing that separates us from seven figures is really belief and time. So guys, raise the bar. Again, I say, raise the bar like Les Brown said. If we're going to doubt anything, doubt our limitations. Don't doubt our strengths. Doubt our limitations. You know, when did I come to believe that? Are you kidding me? That's absolute garbage. I'm throwing you out, self-limiting belief, because you haven't been serving me for all these years. Forget it. You know, I charge through the week myself and I have doubts that come out, and we've got to cast those doubts and those fears out and not let them hold us back. You know, guys, as we're going through it, we might have a struggle story. We might have had failures over the years, things that have held us back. But see, as Anthony Robbins says, and these things sound like cliches, but they're really basics we need to keep in mind. The past just does not equal the future. You know, when we're bringing people into this funnel that we're talking about, when we're bringing people into the success that we're creating, we need to be actually overcoming their buying objections, the things that are silently in their mind. Their previous failure doesn't have to be their failure going forward, because they're hooking into a team culture, a team family-based culture here where there's a down-to-earthness and a helping out culture here that doesn't exist in a lot of hurrah, hype up type companies, and also company cultures that I've seen in the past. You know, what Les Brown says is we need to change our mental blueprint. It's the success map that we've mapped out for ourselves that may have had failure written all over it in the past. Change our mental blueprint. Look at our dreams. Are they feel good about? You know, faith comes by hearing, which is a quote out of the scriptures that Les Brown repeats as well. But if we say it out loud and long enough, here's the thing with affirmations, we're going to end up believing it. If we say it out loud, and I've got a quote here that I heard from a YouTube video of Les Brown, and it's a bit of a Les Brown flavor and a theme here. Say it out loud and say it long enough. This is the power of affirmations. Think about your dreams, Les Brown said. Envision it. The dream is possible. Thing is, we talk ourselves out of it, and we allow others to talk ourselves out of it. Laugh ourselves out of it. The thing is expanding themselves, trying to bring you back to a level that they're comfortable with. We can have our dreams. For people who are running toward their dream, life has special meaning, Les says. you're going to have a lot of pain. It is all part of the process. I've mentioned in the past, it's kind of like that we've got a hurdle race that's around a 400-meter or a 400-yard track. And all those hurdles there are common to everybody, but they're there for a purpose. They're there so that they can filter you out. Okay, and you're excited about what you're doing. You're going to go ahead and attract the right people. If you've got a broke mentality, you're going to have a broke mindset. And there were two things that Igor talked about. He talked about a money mindset and a success mindset. And if our relationship with money is wrong, we're going to attract people in a situation that's as equally broke as we are. And I've heard Jeffrey Combs say that over the last 5 to 8 years so many times it's not funny. So let's stream. And there's one thing I want to leave with you to cement in your mind, something that Les Brown said, and he says this at the top of his voice, in his most energetic voice. He says, it's not over until you win. It just isn't over. The circumstances don't matter, guys. And, if your attitude is right, the facts don't count. And there's a reason for that, is because what you're looking at right now isn't all it's going to be. If you keep plowing ahead, people are going to come in through marketing, through a level of interaction, through sharing value out there that just weren't in front of you. So what you're looking at just ain't all it. 99% of it is actually off the immediate radar screen that you're looking at. And another thing is that facts are often colored by opinion. Is captured as a prisoner of war. He went through a filthy prisoner of war experience, either in Italy or in Germany. And he came through, and what would have been going in his mind as he was in those dirty, filthy, overcrowded prisons? Well, after the war, shipping, merchant shipping was dropped right off. All the ships were turned towards military purposes, and there was an absolute glut of shipping. And the facts were that shipping was in a dive of an industry and an absolute downturn. But the thing is, you could literally couldn't pay to get ships scrapped, so there just wasn't the capacity. But he looked at it and he said, now if this is interesting, if merchant shipping, because of all the bombing that had happened, and we know the U-boats across the English Channel and across the Atlantic Ocean, the Germans were out to bomb people into a siege where they'd starve them. But the British had a formidable attitude. And if shipping, okay, here's the facts. Yes, it's true there's an absolute dearth and an oversupply. A dearth, and ships cost next to nothing. People can't get rid of them. They were the facts. But he stepped back. And he said, well, that doesn't matter, because he said if the volume of shipping went back just to what it was before the Second World War, there's going to be an absolute demand for ships. And now that the war's over, the facts don't matter. But not only that, the GIs had gone out, and they'd gone and they'd toured Italy, and they brought back with them a knowledge of pizza from Italy. And the GIs and the people that had gone out came back with a thirst for overseas experience and demand that wasn't there. So what this guy did, Onassis, went out and he bought up every single ship that he could on shipping lines and got equity partners to do it, and literally cornered the market. And some of you guys might have heard this story, but the facts didn't matter, right? He discarded the facts that were thrown at him because that was your opinion. This market's not going to recover for ages. And of course, shipping totally recovered. And there was an absolute demand there that was created through experiences that people had new desires, new wants and desires that they never had before. So new markets opened up. And he literally became, in the late 40s and the 50s, the richest man on the face of the planet, because he didn't listen to facts, because what was there on the radar screen didn't matter. So guys, I hope when you're looking at your life, and when I'm looking at my life, I hope we take this to heart and we think about the facts that don't matter and how we need to have a vision that's bigger than ourselves. I'm now going to take these few remaining minutes to go ahead and open what I've sent to you guys before, the vision book for Las Vegas. You should be looking through the incentive program every week, every day. Have a look at the dream book. You know, I'm going to look at these. I'm looking now at that with the Bellagio Hotel. Go ahead and Google, as I mentioned the other week, the fountain display on YouTube. Imagination is everything. It's the preview of life's coming attractions, said Albert Einstein. Einstein also researched and said and discovered, along with Edison, and I heard Napoleon Hill say this today at about the 1 hour mark in a video that I was just listening to quietly as I was doing my work, that the brain is both a receiver and a transmitter of frequency. And Albert Einstein, who was a genius, talked about the imagination and the importance of vision when he's talking about your imagination being a preview of life's coming attractions. Guys, when you look at pictures, what Mark Victor Hansen said is that you implode your vision into your subconscious mind. And what it'll do is it will outpicture your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is the thing that ends up reflecting the 15% of what the unconscious mind is, the 85%. Every thought that keeps you from taking action towards your dream is a brick in the fortress of your own prison. Well, I'd like to turn that around and say that every thought that makes you take action towards your dream is an absolute brick in the castle that you're building. So we can break out of that prison and we can actually build a castle and a vision for our dreams for the future. Napoleon Hill said our brains, and I'm only on the first page of the 8 pages, our brains become magnetized with our dominant thoughts, that which we hold in our minds. And they're not going to be in our minds if we're not planting and sowing the seed and planting that vision. I'm looking at the pictures. Guys, are you looking? I hope you look at this every day. Look at it. You know, you get into the grind, you get ground down. What's page 2? It's got pictures of the foyer here. The greatest danger for us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but it's too low and we reach it, said Michelangelo, and I quoted that before. Churchill said the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. And so he's comparing what had happened out there in the world, you know, British Empire and all these people that are now looking at the palm trees and the scenes of the swimming pool. To accomplish great things, we must first dream, then visualize, then plan, believe, and act. Doesn't that just summarize everything that we've been talking about in the steps that we need to do it? Guys, this is the bigger part that'll drive the how-to. Vision without action is a daydream. Action without a vision is a nightmare. That's just blindly taking action. People fail because of it. Over to the next page. I'm looking at beautiful luxury suites and dining rooms here. Beautiful luxury suites, different ones, executive suites. The best way to predict the future is to create it. The top of the page, Alan Kay. Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision without action can change the world. Joel A. Barker. And there's a statement I've heard within Carrot Bars so often and so frequently is that we're starting a Carrot Bars revolution here, guys. We've got a product that's money, a product that's been money for 5,000 years, and everybody needs money. A quote further down on that page, I visualize things in my mind before I have to do them. It's like having a mental workshop, Jack Youngblood. Vision without execution is hallucination. So we have to take action. And guess who said that? Thomas Edison. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. James Allen wrote the book, As a Man Thinketh in His Heart. I'm looking now at another beautiful nighttime fountain scene, looking across the water and looking at the hotel in the background. The harder you work and visualize something, the luckier you'll get, said Seal. You know, Seal also said that we need to get a bit crazy if we're ever going to survive. So guys, you know, these guys got to where they are through having dreams. They're speaking the same fundamental truth that all great leaders speak. To the bottom of the page now, create your future from your future, not your past. You know, leave it behind. There's a reason that the rear view mirror is so small in your car compared to the front windscreen, guys. If you look in the rear view mirror, you'll crash because we're going ahead. We're not looking in the past. We need to keep our eyes firmly pictured on where we're going. On the next page, and I love this, you've got to think about big things while you're doing small things so that all the small things go in the right direction, because if you're just focused on the nitty-gritty, you'll come undone. We've got to have this grander vision. Big thinking precedes great achievement. Sounds so much what, like Anthony Robbins talks about, with taking massive action. You can't borrow someone else's vision. It's got to come from inside of you, said John C. Maxwell, who's written laws of leadership and laws of immutable laws of relating and connecting with other people. Dare to visualize a world in which your most treasured dreams have become true. So we speak it into existence as we create it every day. That's by Ralph Marston. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin. This is one of my favorite quotes. Begin it. Boldness has genius and magic and power in it. Begin it now, said Goethe, Wolfgang Goethe. Create the highest and grandest vision for your life because you become what you believe. That just about sums it up from what Napoleon Hill says all the way through to Earl Nightingale. And think about the impact that over 20 to 30 years Oprah has had. She's made or broken a whole bunch of other people through inspiring them and giving them chances that they never had. But she had to go out and have the highest, she didn't say mediocre, but the highest, not the lowest, but the highest, grandest vision for your life, because you become. It's not just getting stuff, you become what you believe. Getting down now towards the last page, where there's no vision, the people perish, said Solomon in the book of Proverbs. And if you think about it, most people crash out of opportunities and fail because they don't have something bigger than themselves that they're working, and they get bogged down in the day-to-day, and adversity comes up and trips them up. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground, said Franklin D. Roosevelt, another great from American literature and history. If you can dream it, you can do it, said Walt Disney. It all started in his mind. And think of what he created now that's a worldwide legacy. Theme parks around the world. Fantasyland, he created Fantasyland. And, you know, many type of theme parks have followed, like Dreamland and others. So Walt Disney had that. I used to grow up watching Walt Disney show at 6:30 in black and white on a Sunday night, and I was inspired by it as a child. But as he said, if you can dream it, you can do it, guys. So this is the heart and the mindset stuff. You know, when we're dealing with people, if you've got a vision that's really, really strong, you won't have that doubt. You know, people will feel right through you if you're transmitting fear, if you don't have boldness and genius, just like Wolfgang van Goethe said. And I'm going to finish off now with a quote from Jack Welch, who actually is he's probably not the CEO right now of General Electric, the very corporation that Thomas Edison actually ended up founding. And Jack Welch said, the CEO of General Electric, good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. Guys, the greatest person that we've got to lead before we lead others is to lead ourselves. I've listened to a whole mindset series on that by General Patton. And Patton knew that he had to lead himself for other people to have faith in him as a leader. So even if we don't have a full plan yet, we've got to actually lead ourselves. So we create the vision for ourselves. We articulate it by reading it every day, by looking at it, passionately owning it, and then relentlessly driving it to completion, being absolutely bloody minded with it and driving it through. Well, guys, this is the spoken portion. I hope that's helpful. It's really just been 100% mindset. You know, I get inspiration from saturating myself with this, but the very fact that you guys are on the line, that you're listening to this, you know, you're my inspiration to go ahead and share this material. But this whole call, and I'll say this again, just isn't about us as we're listening to it. We're actually creating content that now we can share. This is our team. This is what we're creating and we're sharing together. So I hope that you take this. I hope that you share it. And, you know, if people are listening to this, go to the link that'll accompany this piece of training that we're putting together jointly as a team. And I hope that it's inspiring to you guys who are going to end up listening to this, hearing my voice and hearing us discuss this call after I go ahead and open this up. So guys, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings about this? I'd like to engage you guys to hear a bit of feedback, and I want to know what you think, what you feel about, and what you like most about what we just discussed. Might start with Greg Martin, who's one of our most recent people on these weekly calls. Greg, what are your thoughts and feelings? Do you want to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure. Take it away, Greg.
Okay. Yeah, mate, that's something I have struggled with all through my life, and I still struggle with it. You know, it's not that I don't have high aspirations. It's just that, you know, I doubt often my ability to get there. Well, it's not necessarily my ability. It's almost like a negative thing that just, you know, it's not going to happen for you. That's one of the things that I struggle with a lot. You know, but you know, like physically, intellectually, I've got the nous to do it. I mean, I can tackle this stuff technically. I've spent 20 years in the IT industry.
Yeah.
All right. So the technical aspects of what we do is easy for me. All right. Yep. But there's this constant, you know, it'll never work for you. It's not gonna happen for you. Maybe somebody else, but not you. And you deal with that stuff, you know, and it's horrible. It's a horrible thing to have going on, you know.
I agree with that, and you know, it's just we face this all the time, and there's something that Lawrence said. He goes, and he was actually doing this in his hotel room, and it's good that he was doing it, and he wasn't boasting, because, you know, some people could actually watch Lawrence speaking and they go, well, he's showing this all off, and this is what he's, you know, his view from his hotel room. But he said all of us, and he'd gone, I don't know what it was for, but I'm really glad the more dream sharing or dream building that we all have to encourage each other is the best. But he said that all of us are hung up at some point, so he's including himself in that. And all we can do is inspire each other. But I remember Anthony Robbins, there was this Happy New Year thing that he talked about. He said at some point we've come to believe and accept these things as a self-limiting belief. At some point we've come to believe it. And, you know, whatever it was back then, that's, you know, we believe it and we move on and we carry that with us. And the thing is, we need to inspire each other and pick each other up. And that's the value of masterminding. But, you know, I resonate with what you're saying, and that's why we're creating this and focusing on mindset, because all the how-to in the world, you know, even if people master the how-to, they'll get tripped up. And I think the thing is you know, nature, and I've mentioned it before on a few of these calls, doesn't actually care about the harvest. It has an abundance there that we just don't have. It's almost like we plant the seed and we start watering it and we want to dig it up to see if it's shooting. And, you know, we kill the harvest if we do that, if we get impatient. A bamboo tree takes watering and fertilizing for 7 years. And if you neglect it for any one of those 7 years, it ends up not springing up. And it's the consistency of the action that's going to get us through. But we have that, you know, it's the lack of the immediate results. So, you know, what comes out on a fruit tree now in this season down in the land down under, and you guys in the land up over know all about this, and it comes through because they sound really promising. And then you pin your hopes on that one person. But you've stopped this sowing, you've stopped feeding. You know, we should actually be sowing and creating leads into our funnel, so much so that we don't have time. You know, I've got a guy actually that he was looking at I'd given up on him, and I went back and how did it kind of work out? I've taken him through, I've answered questions, I've done a 3-way with Tammy. He's got more questions. Take them through the process, professional, if it doesn't matter who they are, a business will never depend on one person. We lost Rosemary there, but we'll pick her up a bit later. Greg, this is a long way of sort of talking to say that, we all experience that same thing. Hopefully some of what I'm saying is going to help. It's the thing that we need to encourage people that we're leading into this business. I'll get Greg to talk about the funnel that you've got set up, and you're really excited about it. But Greg, didn't see, there was a bit of a glitch. He didn't see the number of surveys, but he had 60 people opt in from one funnel into the second funnel, and 6 of them had taken the survey. Like, that's really good filtering. And this is just the initial stage of that second funnel that's got like 15 messages in it. Greg, Greg Martin, what are your thoughts now that I've kind of spoken a bit further about that? But there's, I don't think it's uncommon to us, and these things that hold us back are things that we need to keep pushing and encouraging and pushing through. Greg Martin?
John, yeah, mate, almost all of what you said was just all gone. It was doing all through your presentation tonight. It was doing it on and off, but it was just the whole time, virtually just then. I totally missed everything you said.
Oh, just as a reply?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's going to be on the recording. And Greg Watford, did you hear everything that I said? Was it all on the recording?
No, your audio is dropping on and off, John.
Okay.
It's been doing it through the whole thing, mate.
Righto. Okay. Well, Greg, what I'll do is, Greg Watford, could you go to discuss some of the results as an encouragement you mentioned to me with the funnel and some of the results you're getting through the funnel?
Oh yes, it was rather surprising to me because there was a bit of a hiccup regarding the PayPal arrangement, and we weren't being advised when someone went through the funnel over the last week. And Wendy said to me, "Look, we've got a few people into our second funnel. Surely some of them would have paid, would have completed the application and actually paid the $19. Maybe you should contact Albie." So I did, and Albie decided to go through and have a look, and he came up with half a dozen people that had as I said, paid the $19 and completed the application, which was a real surprise. And I was going, yippee, yippee, the actual system works, which is fantastic. And as I said to Albie, we've got this mechanism, this machine, as it were, where you're putting cold suspects in on the input, and what's coming out of the output are these hot leads are just popping out automatically. And so this machine functions by itself. All you got to do is drive traffic to it, which is absolutely fantastic.
That's fantastic, Greg. And I think what's really interesting is something that Igor brought up is that the people have a myth out there that you need a whole bunch of traffic, but it's good quality traffic to an offer that actually converts seems to be the key.
Yeah, look,
it's one of those.
I think it is. It's but you don't know where you're going to get your good traffic from. It's a bit hard because there's a delay. I keep rigorous spreadsheets on my results, so I know how my capture pages are performing with particular solo suppliers. And so I can tell you that whether I got 29% conversion or 33, or I have got up to almost 50%. 49.4 I think has been my highest conversion from some particular solo suppliers. So that gets them into the funnel, but then there's this delay. It does take a little bit longer for people to actually go through the system and sort of pop out as a hot lead. So yeah, look, down the track we'll actually work out what sort of conversions that we're getting from particular solo suppliers, so we can say to ourselves, oh, that particular supplier is no good, but this particular supplier is very good. Look, the other thing that I'm keeping a record of, by the way, is the cost per lead, because it's fairly easy to work out. is the cost per lead. And one of the things that really surprised me, because I put that in a separate spreadsheet, all the costs. So each of my campaigns, I put how many clicks that I got, how much it cost me, how many leads that I got, how many sign-ups that I got, and the cost per leads obviously is the number of leads divided into the dollars that I spent on that particular campaign. Anyhow, one of the highest, the magic figure by the way is $2. So if you can get your leads around about $1 is okay. $2 is a bit expensive, but under $1 is really cool. Anyhow, the one called ad hit profits, just to give you an example, ad hit profits, where you can buy 10,000 clicks for $16, and you think, well, gee, that's pretty cheap, isn't it? Turns out to be the highest cost per lead of any of my campaigns. I think I tried ad hit profits 3 times. This is in the initial stages of ad hit profits. I know that it's a multi-purpose type website thing, but just the initial one, $5 a lead it cost me. So in other words, I got 3 leads, and it cost me $16 to get those 3 leads. So
must be a lot of low quality, just people. I didn't find ClickSense that good myself. Can you hear me okay, Greg?
Yeah, I've got that. I haven't tried ClickSense.
Yeah, I have heard that ClickSense just has a lot of people in the third world that are just clicking to make a bit of an income, so they're not genuine people looking to join an opportunity.
Yes, that's.
So you end up getting.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Yep. So but one of the things that I've found is I drive all my clicks through Bitly, so you can actually check where all these people are coming from. Not only when they go out and per day, how many clicks per day you're getting and things like that, but below the bar chart is a map of the world, and it shows you where all these clicks are coming from. And there was one campaign that I did, and not one English-speaking country called top tier. There was no top tier countries in the whole of my broadcast.
Wow.
The highest one was Russia, followed by Hungary, followed by India or somewhere else. It's just so you just got to be careful where you actually spend your money. Yeah,
true. And you do end up getting. It's enough of a marketplace such that you end up getting what you're paying in. I did a Fiverr campaign, and they were supposed to be all from Europe or US or England or whatever, and I don't think I hardly got a thing out of it. So I think some of this is going to be helpful for Greg Martin listening in, and also Pearly, because they're at that point. It's like, well, what traffic do we look at doing and using? Can you hear me okay, Greg?
Yeah. Which Greg? The other Greg or this Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I can hear you fine. Look, I've just sent out a broadcast to my group regarding there's some tips regarding solo advertising, and tip number 1 was always make contact with the person that you're buying the solo ads from, just to make sure they're a real person and they haven't gone on holidays, which occurred.
Yep.
I went through that experience once. And the second thing is only buy 50 or 100 clicks to make sure that it actually works. It's no good jumping in and buying 200 or 300 or 500 or 1,000 clicks when you may be sort of jumping into murky waters, as it were. And with 100 clicks you can tell. I think Igor says 200's better, but I reckon 100 clicks you can tell whether it's going to be working all right. And if you're going to get better than 33% conversion, then go and spend your money on 500 or 1,000 clicks. But don't just go and jump in willy-nilly. Yep,
they call it scaling up. You try at a certain level, test and measure, and then scale up once you're getting a good rate and then the good quality. So
yeah, that's the technical terms for it, John. Yes, good on you.
No worries. Greg, actually, Greg Watford, when I was answering Greg Martin, or when I was actually going through the vision book, how did the sound come through for most of the call?
50% of it was pretty crook. One thing I'd like to, nothing we can do about that. I think that's your internet connection, by the way. One thing I'd like to to bring up regarding your vision book, etc. Wendy and I have, over the last probably, I don't know, 10 or maybe 20 years or something, our vision book tends to be, rather than, even though we have had vision boards and vision books and goal books, etc., we've actually gone and done we've gone out into the real world. For example, we've often gone to open houses at, say, $2 or $3 million houses, to the open house when they're being sold, or to the auction, to soak up the atmosphere and to find out, you know, what these houses are really like. We've you know, from time to time through the years, you get dressed up very nicely and go and drop into your local Ferrari dealership or Audi or BMW to check the latest model out, and maybe get a test drive out of it and things like that. There was one time which always stays with me is a friend of ours, or there was a couple, so there's Wendy and I and this other couple. We went to the boat show down at on the Gold Coast at Sanctuary Cove, and with the right posture, dressed up quite nicely and the right posture, we were given guided tours through several, at least half a dozen, $500,000 to $5 million boats. Okay, they're all the top boat, the half dozen of the top boats that were at the boat show at that particular point in time. We were given full guided tours, right through it, at least half an hour by ourselves, nobody else around, just the other person, whoever the person was that was in charge of the boat, and us, because they were normally cordoned off. You couldn't just sort of wander onto these boats, and but with the right attitude and the right posture, you could go and do it. So this was sort of like doing the dream book thing, and because these are pretty spoofy boats. I mean, they have cruise quarters on them, you know, and sort of wow. So Sunseeker is my favourite. It's beautiful boats.
I have heard of actually that people talk about the Rob Report. So you look at a magazine, but however, you're very right. Like you smell the steering wheel. You're sitting in the car, and the more senses you're engaging.
You're actually sitting at the helm of a $5 million cruiser, you know, $5 million powerboat, and or you're sitting in the car and you're smelling the leather, as it were. It's the real. It really sort of you can remember it. You know, I can remember it for years later.
Yeah.
It stays with you.
Very powerful. Pearly, did you hear things fairly well? Have you got any questions or comments, or how'd you find the call?
Yeah, I have to agree with Greg. You keep breaking up. Yeah.
So I don't know how to solve that. I'll probably have to try and edit and then see what I can do. What I've done
Other than
before.
that, I really enjoy your speech today on the mindset.
Thanks very much, Pearly.
You're most welcome, John.
No worries. We all need it all the time. So great. Thanks for the feedback. Well, guys, I think I'll wrap it up here. Thanks very much for your participation. Thanks very much for your participation. Great to have you on board. And I look forward to catching up with everybody next week.
Okay, thanks, John.
Alrighty.
Thanks, John, and thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks
Bye.
very much, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.